Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big 5. and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Hankum. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And I'm so glad that you joined us this morning. In the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with Michael Volino. He is a Steuben County legislator and also the supervisor for the town of Thurston. We've got a lot to get to, breaking news and updates from throughout the week. Let's get right to it. This comes from a viewer late yesterday. Did you see that a father of an Appalachia high school shooter was sentenced to 15 years for his child's crime? But at the same time, you can't raise or otherwise discipline your kids thanks to the communist-controlling Democrats. Otherwise, you could be arrested for child abuse. Go figure. Where is there any logic in these communist madness, the compassless, no-direction Democrats who want to run this democratic republic? Get out and vote Republican. Tell all your Republican friends, too. Encourage your Democrat friends to not bother voting. That is futile. They're just wasting their time. Go MAGA. Here's to upstate New York, the 51st state. Yes, the judge sentenced Colin Gray, the father of an Appalachia school shooter, Colt Gray, to 15 years in prison. Colin Gray was convicted of 2 counts of second-degree murder in the deaths of students Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angulo. He also was guilty of 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the deaths of 2 adults, teachers, Christine Ermine and Ricky Aspinwall. Okay, yesterday, Trump announced, this was a big announcement, Trump announced that his Board of Peace has reached a historic agreement with Hamas that will result in a complete disarmament of the terror group in Gaza. Saying on Truth Social yesterday, today, this is President Donald Trump, today the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step toward lasting peace and security. This agreement is a critical step towards Gaza finally being governed by a new Palestinian government that will work closely with the Board of Peace to help the Palestinian people. At the same time, Israel will have the security it deserves, with Gaza no longer used as a base for terror attacks. This is a major milestone in the implementation of the Trump 20-point plan. The agreement will be carried out in carefully structured phases. As disarmament is completed, Israeli forces will withdraw, and the International Stabilization Force will work with a new Palestinian police force to take responsibility for Gaza being safe for its residents and its neighbors. 1 year ago, there was a violent, raging war, humanitarian crisis, and hostages kept in brutal captivity. We have made historic progress, and there is still much work to do. I want to thank the mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, for their important effort, and especially my outstanding team, whose tireless work made this historic breakthrough possible. The threat that emerged from Gaza on October 7th will not be allowed to rebuild. Under this agreement, Gaza will finally be in the hands of a new Palestinian government that serves its people in all caps. Congratulations to all on this amazing development that everybody said could never be achieved. Donald J. Trump, President of these United States. So a historic agreement. As of going on the program this morning, Hamas has not responded, as far as I've been able to see. The deal was 8 months in the making, according to a U.S. and Board of Peace official. Israel remains very skeptical, that Hamas will disarm, it should be noted. We're not asking Israel to do anything other than to agree to the 20-point plan that they agreed to initially. And so we're very confident that they will adhere to it, the U.S. official said. If they don't, obviously President Trump will be very, very disappointed. So meanwhile, Hamas has warned that it won't disarm if Israel interferes or refuses to withdraw from Gaza. All right. So that, I guess, is a statement. I had not seen that elsewhere. The official noted that under the 20-point plan, Hamas is only eligible for amnesty if it disarms. Iran abandoned Hamas a while ago. They can't afford to keep them going, and I think Hamas realized that they have to do what's best for themselves and their people. The agreement will be carried out in carefully structured phases, as I mentioned, according to the president. Once disarmament is completed, Israeli forces will withdraw from the Strip, and the International Stabilization Force will work with a new Palestinian police force to take responsibility for Gaza being safe for its residents and its neighbors. All right, on Iran, Senator... Oh, did I forget one? I did. There we go. Democrat Senator Chris Murphy was on MS Now, no surprise there, and he was asked about Iran. And he said, well, I would unilaterally end the war. And that's not going to be a great outcome because it probably leaves Iran in control of the Strait of Hormuz for the time being. But there doesn't seem to be any way to remove Iran's control of the strait by extending the war. That's just going to get more people killed. It's going to expand the conflict. Since Trump restarted the war a second time in the last 2 weeks, a new conflict has broken out between Saudi Arabia and Yemen, and it now appears that we may be on the verge of not just the Strait of Hormuz being closed, but the Red Sea being closed as well. So the president just needs to end the conflict and accept the messy situation that will likely emerge. Hopefully some of our Middle East allies, our Gulf allies, our European allies can come in, potentially enter negotiations with Iran to reopen the freedom of navigation. But Donald Trump and his real estate buddies are not going to cut that deal. They are incompetent. The war is making us less safe. It is making the economy even more difficult. And the answer is just to stop the war. Now, this is an example, and we've seen this from the media. We've seen this from elected representatives on the Democrat side. They want to see a loss here in Iran. There was a New York Times reporter who said they could never root for a victory for the United States against Iran because it would politically benefit President Trump. So what they're looking at here, instead of winning a war and keeping Iran from having a nuclear weapon, they only care about one thing, and that's the power they want come November in the midterms. Think of that. Now, Emily Gooden says the ball is in Tehran's court. President Trump is willing to give peace talks a chance, but demands that Iran agree to a ceasefire. So now the ball, like she said, is in Tehran's court. That's the basis for any type of negotiation. It starts with a ceasefire, and it has to start with Iran, a U.S. official told the New York Post. Much of the difficulty is coming to a deal, with Iran and its internal politics, were the Ayatollah's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They're clashing with the civilian leaders. We talked about this in the past, these different factions that are kind of gumming up the works. On the civilian side, President Mashhad Pezekian and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi have pursued a peace deal through diplomatic channels. But the IRGC has repeatedly gone rogue, launching military strikes and insisting on control of the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. official said it's incumbent on the Iranian leadership to get their house in order. Trump has said he will give the peace talks time to come to fruition, but he's also been clear he will order decisive military action to counter moves by Tehran. A head-for-an-eye approach, as described earlier by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Case in point, Iran was hit with a heavy wave of U.S. strikes on Wednesday night in retaliation for its attacks on a U.S. base in Jordan. The U.S. official said the president has been very clear that he wants a deal done sooner rather than later, but if the Iranians are going to keep attacking ships, attacking U.S. bases, attacking Gulf allies, then there will be a price to pay for that. While the U.S. waits for Iran to show its willingness to stand down militarily, talks continue on both sides via technical teams and international mediators. So there's where we stand this morning on Iran. Okay, there's your quick updates this morning. We've got a lot to cover. A lot of New York State issues, not just the second house tax that has just been a mess of a rollout. But again, this is what happens when you elect someone that had no prior real world experience, just political experience, someone who promised to tax the quote-unquote wealthy. And now these people with a second house, or it's actually their first house, the house they live in, but they have to now prove that that's the house they live in. Now they're saying, what happened? So we may talk a little bit about that. But here's something, because we always have a kind of couple of wacky stories on the program on a Friday, just for fun. Politics is rapidly becoming more profane. I think we've had this discussion in the past. With a staggering 87% of swear words from presidents dating back to 1919 coming from commanders-in-chiefs within the past 10 years. Kind of a weird way of wording that, but what they're saying is that 87% of swear words used by a president have been done in the past 10 years. President Trump and his predecessor, Joe Biden, were responsible for 538 profane words. That's 78% of presidential cuss words used out of the 692 documented since Woodrow Wilson. Now, this is a researcher in Wales. Someone is probably getting paid to do this research. This could be their life's work. It used to be rare for presidents, even as candidates, to swear in official remarks. Dr. Joseph Phillips, a lecturer at Cardiff University, wrote, Woodrow Wilson broke the profanity seal in 1919, recounting a time where he made, well, we're not going to use the word. Profanity could be a signal of authenticity in a time of low political trust, signals that a politician is authentic. That's at a premium, he added. Trump hasn't been shy about breaking out the expletives. We know that he had a pretty rough one about Iran just 2 days ago. I can't read any of them, as you can imagine. But it says here, Trump has proven to be a pioneer on presidential swearing, bringing a broader range of curse words into the presidential vernacular. So adding words that have not been used, as far as we are aware, at least in official records, from presidents. Of course, we know Biden swore quite a bit. And then just yesterday, we had a senator swearing at that Fauci hearing. Now, one thing we've mentioned in the past, because Democrats have taken to swearing a lot more on the campaign trail and on, in interviews and such. The reason, I think, is to try to look that authentic, like that piece says, is to look like they're the most outraged, they're the most aggrieved, because that is kind of the currency of the Democrats. If you are the most aggrieved, you're the most outraged, you're the most offended. Just thought I'd bring that up for no other reason than it came across my desk this morning. Okay, a couple questions for you this morning. Well, not a couple, but one at least. No, there's two. Trump's support for Lindsey Graham's sister has stirred GOP backlash. Wow, this is specific to South Carolina. But this seems much ado about nothing. But President Trump has put his weight behind Senator Darlene Graham in her bid to succeed her late brother, Lindsey Graham, for a full term. But rather than embracing the president's endorsed candidate in a whirlwind election less than 2 weeks away, influential conservative activists, here we go. Can't wait to see who that's going to be, because we always get these supposed influential conservative activists, and then half the names we don't recognize. But the ones in South Carolina say that they're not swayed. Trump's conservative base could again reject one of his chosen candidates this year, as they did in South Carolina's GOP gubernatorial primary in June, and his supporters question whether the president is acting with their top priorities in mind. C.J. Westfall, chairman of the Dorchester County Republican Party, said people are going to be independently minded in this. I don't think that Trump is the end-all, be-all that he used to be. Interesting. That's someone you should look at as your Republican Party chair. Many conservative activists say they aren't sold on Graham because of her lack of a political record, besides her public support for her brother. What you need is someone, what they're upset about, they could say it's influential conservative activists. What this is people on the ground in South Carolina, the quote-unquote kingmakers, the chairs of the Republican parties of South Carolina, they want their person. They think it's the old way of doing things where, you're next in line. Remember, we can remember it in the presidential years where it's, you know whose turn it is? It's John McCain's turn. Now it's Mitt Romney's turn. It's the same kind of thing at the local level. We can't let Darlene Graham bypass Bob Smith because he's been here forever, that kind of idea. Now the crowd, let me take a step back. Trump initially called for Graham to be appointed to serve the remaining 6 months of her brother's term, then quickly backed her after she unexpectedly decided to seek a full term. A dozen GOP candidates filed to run in the August 11th primary election. Wow, so August 11th, so you've got 12 days, essentially. And there's a dozen? Wow, okay. That includes Representative Ralph Norman and Russell Fry, who have conservative voting records in Congress, and former Governor Mark Sanford. The crowded special election is expected to go to an August 25th runoff, and runoff elections, Westfall said, typically bring out the hardcore of the hardcore. Even national Republican operatives, sympathetic to Darlene Graham and who were aligned with her brother, are privately conceding that her odds of success in the primary race appear slim. Interesting. In interviews, more than a dozen South Carolina Republican operatives and activists described 3 issues working against Graham. She had never held office and is little known across the state, despite her brother's high profile. Her association with her brother could have downsides in a primary. Lindsey Graham had struggled to please many in Trump's MAGA-aligned base in recent years because of his hawkishness and willingness to work with Democrats, and he had spent $20 million to fend off a primary challenge this year from the right. And some are simply irked that Trump wants to hand off a coveted 6-year term to someone based on family ties rather than a proven conservative record. And that's what I'm saying. They want it to be who's next in line. Chad Waldorf, a longtime Republican donor and activist in South Carolina, said he respects Darlene Graham and her long career as an advocate in the state for people with disabilities. Quote, but it's hard for that to suddenly translate into a 6-year Senate term in a month. And that's the leap voters are being asked to make. All right, there you go. Your thoughts. Does it outrage you? Are you seeing backlash with the potential of Lindsey Graham's sister taking over his seat? Also, they say Trump's rift with Thune is driving a wedge in the Republican Party. Boy, the Republican Party. It's interesting the media doesn't bring up the very real, that we're watching play out in real time, civil war in the Democrat Party. It's not just not incumbents, not the right word I'm looking for. It's not just establishment Democrats versus DSA. It's establishment Democrats, DSA versus DSA. It's a mess. But notice everything's driving a wedge. Everything is causing a backlash in the Republican Party. President Trump won't stop needling John Thune no matter how much it splinters Republicans. The president is heaping demands on Thune as the Senate GOP looks to head home for August and try to shore up its increasingly fragile majority. Thune says much of what Trump wants is not attainable, but the presidential pressure is unrelenting. Anyway, we got a lot more to cover. Running just a little bit late. As I said, Michael Volino will be our guest in the 7 o'clock hour. Right now, though, it's time for a break. Stay with us. We're just getting warmed up here on Frankly Speaking.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
It's Monday again, but I love this job. It was hard to get though. No one gave me a chance.
I found a problem, it fixed.
Perfect. Thank you, Joshua.
Aren't you glad we hired him?
Yes, I am.
Don't underestimate people with disabilities. Visit thearc.org/yes to see what's possible.
I'm meteorologist Brandon. Weathers will shape up to have a very nice Friday on our hands with highs in the mid-80s and some sunshine ranging from 81 to 85 across the area. Overnight, we'll stay quiet with partly cloudy skies, upper 50s and low 60s. For our Saturday, dry during the day, a high of 86, partly cloudy skies. Then we will see some shower potential Saturday night, Sunday as well.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Now, undoubtedly, you heard the word yesterday that Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's bid to run the Justice Department is in balance. Right now, it's hanging in the balance, as a handful of Senate Republicans vow not to give him their vote. Surprise, surprise. It happens to be Republicans that are about to retire. One, on their own accord. The other, their hand was forced when President Trump endorsed their opponent in the primary. Senators John Cornyn and Thom Tillis. Cornyn, who's right now relishing his role of being the fly in the ointment of trying to look like a kingmaker or some type of power broker and snub Trump. Thom Tillis has been kind of that way for a little while. Have both opposed Blanche's nomination in the Judiciary Committee until they receive confirmation in writing that the fund, and that is that what they call the weaponization fund, won't be reconstituted, despite Blanche having testified that it was dead during a recent hearing. Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday, "I have no objection to temporarily withdrawing Todd's name if they do not do the right thing, and putting him back in after Cornyn and Tillis are out of office." Cornyn fired back, saying the president is mistaken if he believes concerns about the provisions in his tax lawsuit settlement are limited to me and Senator Tillis. Again, Blanche said it was a dead deal. Cornyn, and I even hate to mention him because he's loving this kind of attention. We don't have to go through all of this about the weaponization fund. But sources familiar with the standoff told the New York Post that Cornyn has not been acting in good faith. He has canceled 3 meetings with Blanche and had already been handed written proposals for eliminating the fund. So it's not, he just wants the attention. He doesn't like, obviously, that he lost his position. He lost his Senate seat because he wasn't a great Republican. So Trump endorsed somebody else. So now he's going out there and grandstanding, hoping to get the attention. And as this source said, he's been canceling meetings. He hasn't even met with Blanche. This is not being done in good faith. He just keeps moving the blanking goalposts, one person griped, adding that Tillis was standing by his friend in opposition to Trump. Cornyn told reporters of Blanche, "I'm happy to meet with him as soon as they produce the document we requested." Also, now that, talk about moving the goalposts, so now it's not just the document, you'll meet with him at... He and Tillis had their political careers derailed by the president in the past year when they denied Trump's endorsement for 2026, something the president boasted about in his Thursday post. Quote, "I thought we were pretty close to landing the plane last night, but this morning there's been some more complications," Cornyn told reporters. Apparently he's getting some pushback from higher-ups at the White House. "I don't know who, but this doesn't need to be this hard. I don't know whether they think they can wait us out or we'll cave, but I assure you we won't," Cornyn said. So I don't, again, I guess he wants his legacy just to be a pain, a thorn in Trump's side. I think this speaks volumes of why people voted him out. His temperament, the way he's handling this, is a prime example of why the voters said enough is enough with John Cornyn. That it's not the John Cornyn show. It's about furthering the MAGA agenda, right? Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows joked, "I found the higher-ups in the White House, and he's pretty high up," meaning Trump. Trump's threat to withdraw Blanche as former defense attorney would not remove Blanche from his perch at the Justice Department. Under the Federal Vacancies Act, Blanche could serve up to 630 days or nearly 2 years as the acting attorney general before another person would be forced to fill the role. So far, Blanche is just about 120 days into his acting position. All right, we got to take another break, all right. Keep those waves coming in. Keep the comments coming in if you'd like. We do have a couple updates from stories, and some that we didn't, but some stories we brought to you in the past, some we didn't. I'm not going to belabor the Fauci thing, but there is a really good piece by Jonathan Turley that I think is worth mentioning quickly. Then we have a lot this morning about the midterms, not just the Republicans and what they're doing, but the Democrats and this, because the mainstream media won't report on it, we'll report on it, which is the infighting, the civil war happening in the Democrat Party. We have a lot to report on that. And then wait till you hear the New York updates. I may save the New York updates until the 7 o'clock hour, but we still have a lot to cover. Feel free to weigh in on all the topics we discussed or any topic you'd like to discuss. If you're new to the program, all you got to do is text that number or leave me a voicemail on that number on the bottom of the screen, 607-358-3131. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Dear crew, with an adult-sized third row, everyone's welcome, from sports fans and eco buffs to movie fans. Slip in, stretch out, and let's go. Toyota.
Lease a versatile RAV4 with 0 down and first month's payment of $399 due at signing. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Fox 10 p.m. News is the first primetime local news for the Twin Tiers. Our reporters, Haley and Dante, scour the Southern Tier to bring you up-to-date news regarding local businesses, economics, and how national decisions impact our area. If you're not near a TV, don't worry. You can also catch our 10 p.m. news live on WYDCTV.com/livestream. Don't miss Big Fox 10 p.m. news on WYDC, on TV, or our website.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Mark your calendar. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is launching a show geared towards teaching Americans how to cook healthy, inexpensive meals. Thanks to President Trump, we flipped the food pyramid and put real food back where it belongs, at the center of the American plate, Kennedy said, touting what is being called the Real Food Show. I'm traveling across America, connecting with renowned chefs to show families how to cook delicious, nutritious meals with real ingredients and all at affordable prices. America, it's time to eat real food. Let's get cooking. The show's first episode actually aired yesterday on YouTube, with Kennedy and celebrity chef Andrew Gruel teaming up to prepare crispy salmon cakes with apple, white beans, and green salad. There you go. So preparing your next meal. We've been talking a lot about the Smithsonian. This is kind of eye-opening. Lonnie Bunch III. Now that's the Smithsonian Institution Secretary. Lonnie called DEI, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, an, quote, it is integral to excellence in museum practice, DEI is. Well, Lonnie Bunch III raked in over $4.4 million from 2020 to 2024 in base salary and added benefits. $4.4 million, while the Smithsonian funds executive compensation through private trust revenues to comply with federal pay caps. The high-dollar package could draw fresh scrutiny because federal taxpayers still fund roughly 60% of the institution's overall budget. During his tenure, Bunch has championed a sweeping transformation of the institution's cultural footprint, stating during a 2019 interview with the Smithsonian Magazine that he wanted the Smithsonian to make, quote, diversity and inclusion so central that it's no longer talked about. We call ourselves the great conveyor, but we're really a great legitimizer. And I want the Smithsonian to legitimize important issues, whether it's 1619 or climate change, Bunch said, referring to the controversial 1619 project that's been repeatedly slammed for erroneous errors by scholars. Quote, we help people think about what's important, what they should debate, what they should embrace. Everybody that thought about the 1619 project, whether they liked it or disagreed with it, saw that the Smithsonian had fingerprints on it. And that to me was a great victory. As Secretary Bunch reports to the organization's Board of Regents and Overseers of Smithsonian's 21 museums, 21 libraries, the National Zoo, and several research centers. Within the organization, the departments of the Deputy Secretary, Chief Operating Officer, and External Affairs report to him. While Bunch's current salary is not public yet, the Smithsonian Institution's 990 tax form from 2020 to 2024 show that he has raked in millions of dollars, including a salary of $915,469 a year, with $74,090 in added benefits in 2024. Wow. In addition to the interview, he co-wrote a policy framework titled Excellence in DEI. DEAI, an acronym for Diversity, Equity, Accessibility, and Inclusion, which was written for the American Alliance of Museums. Bunch further elaborated on his views on diversity in the 17-page document, which says that museums should embed responsibility and accountability for implementing DEAI policies and processes into operations, job descriptions, and performance reviews at all levels of the institution, from the board of directors, C-level executives, and senior leaders to middle managers, junior staff, and volunteers. And you know this is kind of a pet peeve of mine, but I'm going to read the quote anyway. DEAI is integral to excellence in museum practice, full stop. Full stop, very professional, all in caps. You get the idea. I know, we've been talking about the Smithsonian for a while. Just wanted to give you that update. Okay. There's no way to segue between these. We are going to get into Fauci here in a little bit, and we've got a lot to talk about when in relationship to the midterm elections on the Republican sides and the Democrat side, New York updates. But here's something worth mentioning. Wisconsin state officials confirmed on Wednesday that a small-town brewery, what was the name? Minockua Brewing Company, MINOCKUA, owned by outspoken progressive activist Kirk Bagstad, has been closed. They will lose, well, not closed, but they will lose their alcohol permit. This is, and you're wondering why I'm bringing up a small-town brewery in Wisconsin, because this is that brewery that planned to celebrate President Trump's death with free beer. So the owner, the outspoken progressive activist, Kirk Bagstad, is scheduled to have their license revoked on August 4th. The revocation comes months after Bagstad vowed to host a free beer day for customers whenever Trump dies. This is what we talk about with the hatred that the Trump derangement syndrome that people talk about. It's reached, just when you think it can't go, let's say, any lower, it does go lower. So this was, in this person's mind, Mr. Bagstad, a way to not only get publicity, but to express the hatred that they have for Trump. So free beer for when Trump dies. Bagstad has repeatedly garnered attention for using his business platform to criticize the Trump administration and other Republicans with whom he disagrees. Operating a liberal super PAC and selling progressive beer, that really is probably selling like hotcakes, frequently themed around Democratic politicians, Bagstad has long claimed that his liberal politics have made him the target of unfair treatment within the state's heavily conservative Northwoods region. Quote, our brewery is very popular among progressives throughout the upper Midwest because we actively fight against right-wing authoritarianism and corruption. As a result of our political activism, we've been boycotted by beer distributors and major grocery chains. The license revocation comes after a raid on the brewery in June, during which state officials confiscated beer based on allegations that it was moved across state lines without necessary permits. Quote, Wisconsin practically invented the term craft beer, yet Wisconsin's Department of Revenue is trying to shut down the state's most progressive brewery for violations that can only be described as laughable. Can I just say, if you want to have a beer, have you ever thought, I need to go to a progressive brewery, or I need to go to a conservative brewery? But everything in here is progressive brewery this, progressive brewery that. We're going to fight the state of Wisconsin tooth and nail, Bagstad said. And once again, they'll have to pry me out of my tap rooms before I stop selling beer to thirsty progressives. So clearly conservatives are not welcome. This by Jamie Wetzel, by the way. For thirsty progressives who come to visit us. In April, FBI agents interviewed Bagstad over a social media post that they characterized as a violent threat toward Trump in the wake of the White House correspondent's dinner shooting. Quote, we almost got free beer day, the brewery posted at the time. Either a brother or sister in the resistance needs to work on their marksmanship, or he faked another assassination to get a positive news cycle. We'll never know. Yeah, that's unhinged. So talking about the free beer day, suggesting, well, we just missed President Trump dying is what he's saying. So hoping, wishing for that. And then either a brother or sister in the resistance needs to work on their marksmanship. How else can you look at that as a threat? How else can you look at that other than hoping for the worst? The FBI and Secret Service together followed up on information received and conducted further investigative steps, which include a voluntary interview with the individual. He sells shirts saying, "I wish it was free beer day" at Minnicu Brewing Company, along with shirts to say things like "Viva la Resistance," "Impeach, Convict, Remove," and "Protest is patriotic." It's only patriotic when the left does it. Remember their hatred for the Tea Party? Anyway. Regardless of who I think is behind this, Bagstad continued, attempting to shut down a brewery that has the largest social media following in the state. Is that how you rank your beer purchases or your brewery purchases, by social media following? And it sells over $2 million worth of beer and merchandise throughout the country, is anti-American and anti-Wisconsin. Ooh, unhinged, the hatred. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about Fauci when we return. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking with Michael Volino. Just real quickly, because today is the last day. I know I keep kind of pushing this, but it would really mean a lot if you can, to give a little, change a lot, to reach that $1,000 matched donation. I did not check with the Salvation Army to see what number we are at, but any bit that you can give will help. If you give $5, it's like you gave 10. This is from a different donor than the very generous donor that takes part in our telethon each year that matches funds. This is completely unrelated, and that's why I'm passing it on to you, so you can make a small donation, and then hopefully we reach that $1,000, so we'll eventually obviously have $2,000. That's the goal. They do so much. And I say we, full disclosure, I am on the advisory board. I am the chairman of the advisory board of the Salvation Army of Corning, but I see the numbers that they do each month, and it's heartbreaking, the struggles and for so many in our community, but just it's also so touching, because no matter what kind of money we have in our coffers, the Salvation Army is always going to do the most good. And keep in mind, I know I always say this disclaimer, it's called the Salvation Army of Corning, but it covers all of Steuben County, so you can imagine the need there. If you need me to send you the link, I'd be happy to do so. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Live a carefree, engaging lifestyle at Apple Ridge Senior Living, where exceptional is the standard. It's time to redefine your future. Pursue your passions and make meaningful connections. Enjoy an inclusive and customizable senior living experience. Everything you could want, more than you expect. Visit appleridgeseniorliving.com and schedule your tour today.
Having a safe home is essential to many aspects of our lives. From a sense of community and safety, to physical and mental health, to economic security and independence. Most homes in our communities are not accessible and are not designed to accommodate the changes that come with age, including the risk of falling. The Older Adults Home Modification Program helps reduce the risk of falls, improves safety, and increases accessibility and independence. Through this program, Rebuilding Together works with older adults to provide no-cost preventative home repairs so our neighbors can safely age in place in the homes and communities they love. To learn more, visit rebuildingtogether.org/safeathome.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll shape up to have a very nice Friday on our hands with highs in the mid-80s and some sunshine ranging from 81 to 85 across the area. Overnight, we'll stay quiet with partly cloudy skies, upper 50s and low 60s. For our Saturday, dry during the day, a high of 86, partly cloudy skies. Then we will see some shower potential Saturday night, Sunday as well. And
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Our good friend Steve, who writes in, wanted me to pass this along. The Southern Tier Card Showcase is tomorrow at the Elmira Heights Legion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Nope, not yet. August 1st. There it is. Yep. Tomorrow, the 2026 Southern Tier Card Showcase tomorrow at the Elmira Heights Legion. That's 236 Scottwood Avenue in Elmira. There'll be trading cards and collectibles. Early admission at 10 a.m. is $10. General admission 11 to 4 is $3. So if that is something that you like, cards, collectibles, make sure you make it out. Okay. I wonder, and I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think Dr. Fauci actually received flowers to his front door, or do you think Dr. Fauci ordered flowers to his front door? Dr. Anthony Fauci beamed with delight yesterday as he collected flowers from an admirer placed on the front steps of his $2.4 million Washington, D.C. home. Less than a day after a jaw-dropping hearing where Republican senators took him out to the woodshed, said Chris Nessie. Which I would say, I mean, he was grinning ear to ear. We know he loves the fame. I would say it's kind of weird at first that supposedly his quote-unquote fans know where he lives. And also, if you receive something that says, we heart you, Dr. Fauci, meaning we love you, doesn't that make you feel you probably didn't do a good job in the hearing? I mean, he pleaded the fifth 111 times. But what I'm saying is, it's almost like, oh, don't worry about it, pal. Fauci grinned like a gold medal ice skater wearing a red t-shirt, charcoal cargo pants, and a pair of hush puppies as he clutched the bouquet of yellow flowers, which had been adorned with the handwritten note. Fauci, 85, invoked his Fifth Amendment rights 111 times, as we know. After his disastrous performance at the hearing, Fauci took in the air with his wife, Christine Grady, on a walk around the couple's posh D.C. neighborhood. It was overheard grousing that someone was shouting at me. Anyway. Do you think he actually received the flowers? Well, an ex-CBS reporter claims that criticizing Fauci had her pulled off the air during the COVID pandemic. And this was pretty common. A lot of people were censored if they questioned, not ridicule or mock, just questioned Dr. Fauci and the quote-unquote science. Former CBS News journalist Brittany Hopper claimed that she got into trouble after questioning Dr. Anthony Fauci during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Hopper appeared on News 24 in Australia to discuss Fauci's decision to invoke the First Amendment 111 times. Did I say the First Amendment? The Fifth Amendment. Before reacting to Fauci's hearing, the independent journalist who previously worked for CBS News Los Angeles until 2022 gave her own story, reporting on Fauci and how it was defined by the mainstream media. I have so much to say because this was during the time when I was on CBS News. I was reporting extensively on COVID. I went out there in the front lines, and I remember after a couple of years of dealing with hearing this man and interviewing this man and having to wear a mask and having our kids out of school for years, I remember questioning what he was doing. And I got in trouble and pulled off the air for a couple of days because I started questioning him. You weren't supposed to question the agenda and the narrative at that point. And I apologized, and I went back on air covering what I was supposed to do, as I've mentioned before on here. I was their puppet on mainstream media for so many years. Hopefully more and more people are waking up to, the lack of journalistic integrity that we're seeing. And this obviously has to do with politics as well. If you were on CBS News Los Angeles and you were critical, even to this day, and you take any mainstream media, I don't have to pinpoint that, but if you take any mainstream media outlet, disagreeing with a Democrat, watch the coverage, watch it on the Sunday morning programs. Disagreeing with a Democrat would get you booted. Now, if you're mean or question aggressively, maybe not even mean, question aggressively Republicans, that's of course a pat on the back. If you do the whole Margaret Brennan thing where you're like, you do know that, be very condescending and smug, you're going to get a raise. But if you ask those same type of questions to Democrats, you'll be out of a job. Hopper said that she was not shocked by Fauci's response during the hearing, but hoped that the insanity of him refusing to answer questions opens people's eyes. I hope this is somewhat of a wake-up call for news organizations around the world. The 6 feet apart thing that he made up, wearing masks outside with not a single soul around us, there were so many questions that were left unanswered, and let me give him the benefit of the doubt. The first year, many of us, we had no idea what was going on. But then we started to learn more and more and started to really use journalistic integrity, which maybe that's just been thrown out the window. News agencies jumped on the bandwagon with him and just feared so many Americans. And that's going to lead into I got to take a break. But that's going to lead into what Jonathan Turley had to say. Then we'll get away from Fauci unless you want to talk more about him, because I do want to get to some New York State updates. This broadcast is going quick, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School. College first-round draft pick. During the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father and as a husband. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
Don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Watch news from the Twin Tiers and catch local events on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
One big day of smooth jazz awaits you at the Ferrario Elmira Jazz Festival. Join us at Thorne Street Park Saturday, August 15th for chart-topping jazz keyboardist Brian Simpson and soprano saxophonist Marion Meadows with local favorite Top Shelf. Celebrate with us. Tickets only $42. It's one big day. Buy tickets at ElmiraJazzFestival.com. Brian, Marion, and Top Shelf. One big day. It's more.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Ken writes in, I would think that offering some type of incentive for the death of anyone would be a prosecutionable offense, or a crime, excuse me. Prosecutionable crime. Yeah, I would think so too, Ken. I mean, that's in reference, if you're just joining us, there's that brewery where everything's progressive this, progressive that, but a brewery in Wisconsin that will offer free beer the day, whenever that is, the day that President Trump passes away. But then when there was the attempted assassination at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, they basically said, uh-oh, we just almost had our free beer day. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me anymore. But and our brothers and sisters in the resistance need to be better marksmen or something, or need to practice their aim more. Very disgusting, very despicable. Talking about Fauci, thank you, Cam. Talking about Fauci, Jonathan Turley said, as I wrote this week, Dr. Fauci was not the only one taking the fifth on Wednesday over his record during the pandemic. The media largely invoked the same privilege to avoid self-incrimination for its years of defying the former director of National Institution of deifying. I was like, I didn't see that right. For years of deifying the former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. And the media has been on full display lately with this. The stories that went, like someone had mentioned yesterday in the program, they're not reporting on the release of the audio from the ghostwriter showing how bad Biden was. Even though, remember, Dr. Jill Biden said she never saw anything like that from her husband until the presidential debate. Continuing with what Jonathan Turley had to say, across the cable networks, hosts and guests were having the vapors as Republican senators pummeled Fauci over his COVID-19 policies and the glaring contradictions found in his diary entries. Some, like Dr. Scott Ratson, echoed Fauci's previous claim that any questioning of his judgment was an attack on science. Once again, Fauci had every right to invoke the Fifth Amendment. That does not mean it was the right thing to do. Fauci already had a pardon that notably extended back to 2014 when his agency approved gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab in China. Any prosecution would be difficult in light of the pardon. It would not be impossible since he could be charged with perjury for a false statement. Yet that was the same threat that existed during countless prior hearings involving Fauci. So what was the difference now? The answer is found in diary entries and other evidence that contradict Fauci's public statements on subjects ranging from the lab theory to school closures. It's not that Fauci would have been tripped up by false answers, but that he did not have any obvious answers to some of these criticisms. Instead, Fauci invoked the privilege 111 times. That fell short of the record of Vito Genovese, who invoked the privilege 150 times. The mobster. Rather than address a long list of criticisms and contradictions involving Fauci, the media rallied around the scientist. Fauci was portrayed as something akin to the Saint Sebastian of science, taking barbs and arrows for his faith. It did not matter that more than 1.2 million Americans died, the economy shut down, and millions of children were prevented from going to school based on these alleged errors. Fauci would remain silent rather than risk being charged with false testimony. On CNN, Dr. Scott Ratzin, editor-in-chief of the Journal of Health Communications, repeated Fauci's much maligned claim from June 2021 that attacks on me, quite frankly, are attacks on science. On Wednesday, Ratzin declared, "This is an assault on science and scientists, and unfortunately, Dr. Fauci is in that seat. 38 years of service to the country, one of the best-known scientists in infectious diseases, unfortunately has taken a lot of heat. Dr. Fauci owes a public explanation, including the millions who lost loved ones. Instead, he refused to take the risk of being accused of perjury." It was a maddening statement, repeated by many, that treated Fauci as involatile, if not infallible. Fauci was wrong about issues that impose tragic cost on this country. When confronted with policies such as school closures, he insisted he had never recommended them, while privately admitting he had. Fauci owes the public explanations. Fauci is no Saint Sebastian. Notably, Sebastian remained silent in public to conceal his faith, but when discovered, he remained faithful. The price was to be shot through with arrows, but he somehow survived. After being nursed back, and Jonathan Turley does this a lot, but after being nursed back to health by Irene of Rome, he immediately confronted Diocletian in public and denounced his abuses. For the act, he was beaten to death with clubs and tossed in a sewer. Fauci spoke endlessly in public and remained silent only when asked to address the contradictions in his diaries and the cost of his alleged errors. What is also frustrating to many is the reappearance of figures who toed the line on prior narratives about masks, the virus's origin, and other issues. They are now claiming to be victims for being asked to account for evidence that they were wrong. As Dr. Scott Atlas, a health policy fellow at Stanford's Hoover Institution, has laid out, many of those who abused dissenting scientists face no repercussions after those scientists were largely vindicated by later research. And we had mentioned that yesterday. A lot of the people that were criticized maybe lost their job because they questioned Fauci. They never got their job back, but the people that we see were working with them still very much at work. During this period, dissenting scientists were barred from social media, removed from positions, and vilified for expressing views, despite later being vindicated on subjects ranging from the lab origin and the efficiency of masks to the 6-foot rule, natural immunity, and school closures. Many previously echoed Fauci's views that questioning these conclusions was an attack on science. One leading columnist wrote a piece titled, "The COVID lab leak claim isn't just an attack on science, but a threat to public health." When courageous scientists put their careers at risk and some lost their positions to voice their opposition to Fauci's policies, neither he nor his acolytes said a thing in their defense. Fauci did not defend them as fighting for science and the need to challenge orthodoxy. When their views were later embraced, they received no apologies, let alone reinstatement. For my part, I'm not interested in hearing from scientists who remained silent as their counterparts were vilified, shadow banned, and fired. Their deep faith in science did not prompt them to defend those with opposing views, even though orthodoxy is the very antithesis of scientific thought. Again, Fauci has every right to remain silent, but that does not make it right. On that note, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to wrap up hour number 1. Stay with us.
Live a carefree, engaging lifestyle at Apple Ridge Senior Living, where exceptional is the standard. It's time to redefine your future. Pursue your passions and make meaningful connections. Enjoy an inclusive and customizable senior living experience. Everything you could want, more than you expect. Visit appleridgeseniorliving.com and schedule your tour today.
Dear Coach. Dear Coach, they don't teach you that inner strength is the most important kind of strong. But you taught me that.
They don't teach you how to build confidence in yourself or how to deal with all the pressures all at once. But you taught me that.
First tee was more than golf. It's where I discovered what I'm capable of.
You didn't just prepare me for 18 holes. You were preparing me for every day of my life. Learn more at firsttee.org.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers will shape up to have a very nice Friday on our hands with highs in the mid-80s and some sunshine ranging from 81 to 85 across the area. Overnight, we'll stay quiet with partly cloudy skies, upper 50s and low 60s. For our Saturday, dry during the day, a high of 86, partly cloudy skies. Then we will see some shower potential Saturday night, Sunday as well. And
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, doing a little housekeeping before we wrap up hour number 1. Coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to talk with Michael Volino. He is a Steuben County legislator. He is also the Thurston town supervisor. Now, they have a big celebration coming up tomorrow. We're going to learn all about it with Mr. Volino. Also tomorrow, and I know we talked with Hornell Mayor John Buckley. Don't forget, tomorrow is the Mustang Rally in Hornell. Well, it actually starts today. Let me clear that up. It starts today. That's when the drivers leave Hornell to go up to Watkins Glen International. So there's still, if today's the only day you can make it, still plenty to see. Participants will gather at Veterans Memorial Park at 9:30 a.m. before cruising through the city of Hornell and heading to one of the most iconic race courses in the world. Then tomorrow at Veterans Memorial Park at James Street, registration will open at 9 a.m. with awards being presented at 3 p.m. Mustang owners are encouraged to bring their vehicles, and you can just, if you don't have a Mustang, just walk around. There's going to be vendors, got a lot of great food. You can see all those Mustangs. So that is tomorrow as well. Whew. I think we did our housekeeping there. I think we covered everything. So also, let's give you the look ahead to next week. And then I'm going to ask you a question to lead into hour number 2. On Monday, we're going to talk with Mark Watts, because that's hard to believe, but it's Chemung County Fair time, which begins next week on the 4th with that rock concert, with that rock revival. That is going to be on the 4th with Rust and Fright. But anyway, we'll hear all about the week's festivities with Mark Watts on Monday. On Tuesday, in studio, it's our good friend, former congressman, current assemblyman, and former congressman, current assemblyman, and current chair of the Steuben County Republican Committee, Joe Sempolinski, will be joining us on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, Griffin Bates is going to tell us about a really exciting upcoming event. And this is what I know I've talked with a lot of people about this. We talked about it with Mayor Buckley yesterday. The celebration of America and the celebration of our communities, because you know from the beginning of this program, I've talked about how important it is for us to get back to that community-mindedness, and there's just this lack of faith and community and patriotism. So I love to see these celebrations. Like we celebrated Hornby with their big 200th anniversary, and then I received this. Let me see if I can do the right one. Received this just the other day, and we're going to hear all about this on Wednesday with Griffin Bates, the Steuben County historian. It's the Steuben 250. It's coming up on September 5th in Pulteney Square in Bath at 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. Military reenactments, history fair displays, musical ensembles, food trucks, and vendors. So we look forward to that as well. We're going to learn all about that with Griffin Bates. Okay, and I know it's a ways out, but we want you to mark your calendar because summer's moving fast. All right, here's the question before we go to break. Are you gripped by election fears? Well, according to, I believe this was Axios, America is gripped by election fears as November nears. We're going to tell you what that means and also get into the Democrat Socialist America and the infighting in the Democrat Party, but also a few things here about Republicans. But we are running late. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. We're up to 15 waves, not too shabby, as we lead into hour number 2. Again, Michael Volino coming up in the next hour, so get your questions and your comments in. By the way, if you missed, and it's getting a lot of attention, I know I'm going to run late. It's been getting a lot of attention. It was a great interview. Sheriff Jim Allard, he was on the program earlier this week. You can find that at our YouTube page or at WYDCTV.com. The same goes for our interview yesterday with Hornell Mayor John Buckley. Another great interview. You can find that on our YouTube page or WYDCTV.com. All right, we got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hour number 2 coming up next.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I had to pack up all my things. I had to leave my home. And I never knew where I was going next. It felt like I never even had a say. But then you came along.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you. Learn how you can help at nationalcasagal.org.
Get ready 185th Chemung County Fair. 5 days of family fun. August 4th through August 8th at the Chemung County Fairgrounds in Horseheads. Experience thrilling rides, exciting games, and captivating livestock shows. Taste delicious fair food and explore local vendors. Rust and Fright Concert August 4th. Tractor Pull August 5th. Rodeo August 6th. Truck Pull August 7th. Demolition Derby August 8th. Join us for the 185th Chemung County Fair, where tradition meets excitement. Visit ChemungCountyFair.com.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. So I ask the question, are you being gripped by election fears? Republicans, 56%, and Democrats, 77%, fear politicians will pressure election officials to change the outcomes of races. So it's actually the Democrats who are more the election deniers, as much as they want to say that Trump, right? If 77% are fearful the politicians will pressure election officials, that means that they don't believe in the system. 80% report a great deal or fair amount of concern that political leaders will take actions they know are possibly illegal. Nearly 8 in 10 also worry about wealthy people or organizations making large anonymous political donations. 78% for that category. Or about gerrymandering, 77%, as redistricting has reshaped the upcoming midterm election. Some fears are personal. 40% say they're concerned about being confronted, followed, or recorded while voting. Really? And the anxiety is rampant. Nearly 3/4, that's 73%, report at least a fair amount of concern about multiple aspects of the election process rather than just one fear. Ken writes in, because that was the question, are you gripped by election fear? Ken writes in, I'm sorry. On the advice of counsel, my wife, I must refrain from answering your question. Invoke my Fifth Amendment rights as set forth in the Constitution of the United States. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. I totally understand. Mark writes in, the only election fear is if Bruce Blakeman loses the Kathy Hochul. I personally can't stand another 4 years of Hochul's ridiculous policies. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ken. Now, I know it came from a pro-Blakeman super PAC, but sometimes inside polling can prove more beneficial because you want to work on things, you want to better your campaign, and that shows Blakeman within 4 points of Governor Hochul. If that's true, that is very good, leading up to not even Labor Day. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, about New York policies. But first, tech billionaire Elon Musk, this is being reported by Axios as well, is jumping into the midterms with a huge investment and a plan to boost Republican voter turnout. And sadly, we need that boost in Republican turnout. Right now, there's that apathy. Republicans feel that, well, we voted for Trump and you guys got the majority in the House and the Senate and you can't get things done. So there's this apathy. A lot of people are saying, I don't know, am I even going to bother to vote? Well, Musk is starting he is resurrecting his dormant super PAC, America PAC, which spent more than $260 million to help get President Trump elected in 2024. America PAC will focus on door knocking, digital advertising, and direct mail aimed at turning out the conservative base, including voters who typically are less inclined to cast ballots in a non-presidential election year. Sources with knowledge of the plan tell Axios. Musk's representatives declined to specify exactly how much he'd spend, but given that he donated in 2024, his number is expected to be high. Musk's pro-Trump donations through America PAC in 2024 made him the largest individual political donor in a single election cycle in U.S. history. America PAC was an essential partner for our historic Get Out the Vote operation in 2024, and the return for 2026 is a huge boost for Republicans across the country, James Blair, President Trump's senior political advisor, told Axios. We will again outsmart our opponents and ruthlessly execute our mission for the GOP between now and Election Day. Now, we already know that the Republican Committee, the Republican National Committee, already has quite an advantage over the Democrat National Committee because the Republicans actually have money where Democrats are in debt. Musk's investment will add to a huge edge that Republicans have over Democrats at a time when Trump's low approval ratings, particularly in the economy and the Iran war, have put GOP control of the House and perhaps Senate in jeopardy. Again, it's coming from Axios. Take it with a grain of salt. GOP super PACs and committees have a $300 million plus advantage over their Democrat counterparts, and that doesn't include the $400 million sitting in Trump's MAGA Inc. super PAC. Republicans are hoping their money will offset the political environment favoring Democrats. Behind the scenes, Musk, the world's richest person, has been in talks with Trump's team about how he can help. So that is a big announcement. Hopefully that all comes to fruition. All right, so we said we talk about the Democrat side of things because there's the infighting that the mainstream media really won't report on. They don't want you to see how, well, just like we talked about with Ken Martin, the head of the DNC, with his financial woes and anger issues, just like that candidate in Maine. They don't want to report on it. They don't want to paint Democrats anytime in any sort of bad light. Well, listen to what some of the members, again, DSA is very much a part of the Democrats. So when we talk about DSA, it's no different than talking about the Democrat Party. But this member of Mondani's Democrat Socialists of America, about a dozen of them, Democrat Socialists of America activists, have publicly pledged to, quote, support and, quote, defend China amid an apparent push by the communist nation to court members of New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's party. Friends of Socialist China, a London-based group, touts 952 signatures on its pledge to, quote, support the People's Republic of China and to promote understanding of Chinese socialism. 11 self-described DSA or DSA International Committee members are among those that, quote, resolve to support, defend, and build understanding of Chinese socialism. The pledge argues that, quote, the global advantage to socialism is indispensable if humanity is to survive and to flourish, while decrying capitalism as totally incapable of solving the problems of poverty and inequality and being linked with war, empire, racism, misogyny, alienation, and environmental destruction. Why China, the pledge continues? We support all states building or aspiring to socialism, and we favor the highest level of unity and friendship between them. We foreground China in particular because its size and level of development give it an objectively critical role in the global transition to socialism. The document lauds China as the most prominent force pushing for the establishment of a multipolar system of international relations and a new international economic order, and a global leader in the struggle to avoid climate breakdown. Man, they cover everything. As such, the continued survival of Chinese socialism is a crucial matter not only for the Chinese people, but for all of humanity. Now, it was previously reported that in order to meet a rising interest in the Chinese Communist Party, the Democrat Socialists of America launched a monthly seminar last year about modern China and lessons for U.S. socialists. Again, but they don't want the connection to communism, right? They don't want to be labeled communists or socialists. Among the wild claims made during the DSA's first CCP seminar was that China has a strong democracy. There was no mention of China's tight restrictions on freedom of expression. A few weeks before the launch of the seminar series, a 5-person DSA delegation flew to Beijing to celebrate China's 80th anniversary of the victory against Japan. Anyway. An outraged member of the DSA's International Committee said, "This isn't what I signed up for, and I imagine it's not what a majority of members signed up for. There's no way that we could be a part of an organization and promote the things we're doing." I don't know. That's where we're at. And there's a lot of, we'll call them establishment Democrats, because I can't think of a better word, because they're still not moderates. I don't know what you would call them. But that are pointing to that, and we've talked about it numerous times, one of the leaders of the Democratic Socialists of America, when they were asked questions about abolishing the Senate, ending this, and all the things that form America, she said yes on all of them. And many people have pointed that will be played on campaign ads across the country. But Adam Schiff, Senator Adam Schiff, you remember him, he was on CNN's Out Front. Aaron Burnett asked him, we've got a new poll out there which finds about just over a third, actually, of Democrats now identify as Democrat socialists. A third, folks. 59% of them, right? Wait, what? Just over a third. How does it get to 59%? So 60% are younger than the age of 45. Are you on board with this? Do you see, the numbers must have got lost in translation. But anyway, over a third of actual Democrats support Democrat socialists. Do you see this as, accept this, as this is where your party's going? So Adam Schiff said, look, I think we're a big tent party. So remember, this is their talking point. Anytime a candidate says something anti-Semitic from the Democrat Socialists of America, anytime they call for basically the destruction of America, Ken Martin said it too, Adam Schiff is saying it now, we're a big tent. We'll accept anybody in. Anti-Semite doesn't matter. We just want the vote. I think we should be a big tent party. And I would rather be the big tent in the majority than be a smaller party that is stuck forever in the minority. And I don't think that most Americans that say they want to associate with the Democrat Socialists of America are buying into what the bylaws of that organization say. So what Adam Schiff is speaking for the Democrat Socialists of America voters, saying, they don't really buy into what the charter of the organization says. So when they joined this organization, they didn't support what the organization supported? Is that what we're to believe because Adam Schiff told us so? I don't think that most Americans that say they want to associate with the Democrat Socialists of America are buying into what the bylaws of that organization say, which is pretty extreme. So you join an organization where you don't believe in their bylaws. That's an interesting reason to join a group or support a group. I think they like Mom Donnie, Schiff continued. I think they like some of the other people who are running under the banner. They think they're change makers. They're attacking the status quo. They're charismatic figures. I think that's what's attracting their interest. And for me, the most important thing is, are they willing to challenge a system which is not working for a majority of Americans? Are they willing to do bold things to make the economy work and bring down costs? Is that what socialism does, Mr. Schiff? If they are, they can call themselves whatever they like. As far as I'm concerned, they have a place in the Democrat Party. Adam Schiff. We're going to talk a little bit more about this because James Carville has another opinion on it. We are going to talk about New York State issues. Don't worry. And we still have Michael Volino coming up in just a little bit. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Live a carefree, engaging lifestyle at Apple Ridge Senior Living, where exceptional is the standard. It's time to redefine your future. Pursue your passions and make meaningful connections. Enjoy an inclusive and customizable senior living experience. Everything you could want, more than you expect. Visit appleridgeseniorliving.com and schedule your tour today.
After an accident, people told me I needed to slow down. I told them, I don't know how. I'm not only doing the things I used to do, I'm experiencing things I've only dreamed of. I have my freedom back. For the first time in a while, I can see all the colors in my life. So while some days might be harder than others, I know a place I can go where I can feel strong and supported.
Because with the help of my VA care team, I'm reaching new heights.
Take your healthcare career to new heights. Learn more at vacareers.va.gov/PSA.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll shape up to have a very nice Friday on our hands with highs in the mid-80s and some sunshine ranging from 81 to 85 across the area. Overnight, we'll stay quiet with partly cloudy skies, upper 50s and low 60s. For our Saturday, dry during the day, a high of 86, partly cloudy skies. Then we will see some shower potential Saturday night, Sunday as well. And
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. We got a couple of nice comments here. Good morning, Frank. Have a relaxing weekend. Well, thank you very much for the very nice emojis. I appreciate it. I hope you have a relaxing weekend as well. Ken writes in, I fully understand why the Democrat politicians aren't distancing themselves from the DSA. Another desperate attempt at gaining power and achieving wealth. What I don't understand is why the sheeple don't push back. And what is in it for the legacy media? I think that it goes to the legacy media. They just want Democrats in general. And I think if you really look behind the curtain with the legacy media, I think they're very much in support of this kind of socialism. They don't realize that they'll be the first to go under communism, but I don't think they worry about that. They're coming from these far left journalism schools, and they're being taught the most extreme positions. James Carville warned that the far left candidates winning elections are a liability for the party at the national level. A wave of Democrat socialist candidates winning Democrat primaries in New York City, Abdul El-Saad's competitive bid for the Democratic nomination for Michigan's U.S. Senate seat, and Francesca Hong's frontrunner status in the Democrat primary for Wisconsin governor have signaled a significant shift to the left for the party. On James Carville's podcast, Al Hunt said that while he disagrees with the narrative that the far left is ascending or poised to take over the party, he warned that it could create problems for other Democrats with a hyped-up narrative that the left is taking over the Democratic Party. And the attention on such candidates, quote, really do pose problems for that, while otherwise is a good Democratic year. Carville said, I agree. And the problem with Michigan and Wisconsin is what happens in the Michigan Democratic primary doesn't stay in the Michigan Democratic primary. What happens in the Wisconsin Democratic primary for governor doesn't stay in Wisconsin. And they're going to be tagged as part of the Democrat Party. Well, they are. I mean, they may not like this. Carville and others may not like it. But the Democrat Socialists of America have made themselves a part of that party, the Democrat Party. Now, Melissa Del Rosa, Cuomo's former, I think, chief of staff, said that it's a parasite on the Democrat Party. That may be the case. But when you have people like Governor Hochul endorsing Mamdani, they've embraced that part of the party. And you have Adam Schiff saying it's a big tent. Yes, never mind the anti-Semitic statements. Never mind this radicalism. We don't think they believe that radicalism anyway. It doesn't work like that. It is. They may not like it, but that is the Democrat Party today. He asked the Democrat Socialist, why don't you get another name? Why are you dragging our names through the mud with your baloney? If you don't like it, call yourself something else. Well, they kind of did, Democrat Socialists of America, but also you accepted them, you embraced them. I'm not talking about Carville specifically, but this Ken Martin saying it was a big tent. Excuse me. Once Mamdani became so popular, AOC became so popular, they embraced it. So you can't now want to distance yourself from the extremists. Carville joked that the term Democratic can be appropriated even by tyrannical regimes like the Democratic Republic of North Korea, and that Americans, Democratic Socialists, are generally confusing voters. Carville said, if you're so against everything, then create your own name. Don't use our name. Don't be tainted. But I got to tell you, I hope that voters in the primaries in Michigan and Wisconsin understand you're not voting for a nominee for Senate in Michigan. You're not voting for a nominee for governor of Wisconsin. You're voting on the image of the entire party, and there's a lot at stake here. And this is not a time for a vanity vote, not at all. And that's what this is, a vanity vote and nothing more. Hunt responded by recalling after the death of George Floyd in 2020, some Democrats embraced the agenda of defunding the police. The majority did, just like they're embracing abolish ICE now, which enabled the Republicans to paint the entire party with that agenda. He warned that the same could happen with this new wave of Democrat socialist far-left ideas. Carville argued that one key policy from Hong would represent lunacy of the highest level to the point it would be a liability for other Democrat candidates when Republicans grill them over it. The problem we face right now in Wisconsin, this candidate doesn't want to defund the police. She wants to abolish the police. So if we had a Republican gubernatorial nominee in that state of, I don't know, Colorado, pick a state, Tennessee, that was advocating lunacy of this level, and this is lunacy of the highest level you can imagine, we would be totally justified in taking that message nationally. We would be totally justified in saying you've got to ask these people when they're making an appearance if they agree with it. Yeah, but the difference is, and Carville knows this, the common, everyday Democrat candidate, the establishment-type Democrat, they're not going to get asked, do you support what this opponent? They're not going to do that. That would happen on the Republican side. You can take it national. Carville essentially admitting there that they have the control over the mainstream media at the national level. So, well, they're going to go do that to us. And I got to say, you go to a person in a tight race. You go to Roy Cooper. You go to John Ossoff. You go to Troy Jackson. You say, your nominee in Wisconsin said this. What do you answer? That's not a blank question at all. And you're just opening yourself up for all of that. They're just not going to get asked that question that often. They're fine. They're definitely fine. All right. After consulting, this is a comment from a viewer. After consulting border czar Kamala Harris on border security, Spain is overrun with migrants. Yeah, is that who they consulted with? Spain deploys their military after thousands of migrants overwhelm the border enclave and at least 9 are dead. The Spanish government said the armed forces will support the civil guard in restoring order after local officials warned the city could no longer handle the influx. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska are expected to visit as Madrid scrambles to contain the crisis. So there you are. Okay. We've got to take a short break because when we return, we're going to hear from our friend Michael Valina. He's coming up. He's Steuben County Legislature as well as the supervisor for the town of Thurston. The town of Thurston has a cool event coming out this week, and we're going to hear all about it. After that, we'll talk. We do have a couple other things here. Oh, how about this? I'll leave you with this before we go to when we return after our interview, we'll go to New York State issues. AOC's path to the White House, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's path to the White House, could soon become clearer. These are the conditions which might make her think now is the time with this surge in Democrat Socialists of America. If you hear the music, you gotta dance. I think that was Politico who wrote that. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets! This year, WYDC is bringing you 25 New York Mets games free over the air this spring and summer. No fees and no subscription services. Tune into WJKP 48.2 to watch the New York Mets this MLB season. Let's go Mets!
Get ready 185th Chemung County Fair. 5 days of family fun. August 4th through August 8th at the Chemung County Fairgrounds in Horseheads. Experience thrilling rides, exciting games, and captivating livestock shows. Taste delicious fair food and explore local vendors. Rust and Fright Concert August 4th. Tractor Pull August 5th. Rodeo August 6th. Truck Pull August 7th. Demolition Derby August 8th. Join us for the 185th Chemung County Fair, where tradition meets excitement. Visit ChemungCountyFair.com for tickets and details.
You can just keep watching and scrolling, and the world will still feel like it's falling apart.
Widespread misalignment. Highest hospitalization.
Or you can take action by joining a movement that's creating real and lasting change instead. Partnering with communities around the globe to help uproot poverty and plant seeds of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Because at World Vision, we believe that no situation is hopeless. Join a movement that's changing the world for good.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, Michael, welcome back, buddy.
Hey, good to be back.
It's been a little while. How's everything going?
everything's going well. I think this time we're a little bit, I'm not in the heat of two primaries, so it's a little bit more.
You seem more relaxed.
Yeah, a little more relaxed this year, yeah.
Well, and this is right up your alley. I'm glad you could join us, because we had Kelly Fitzpatrick on, and you walked by. Did you hear about this? You walked by when
I
we
did.
were recording.
I did see I was on.
And I said, there's Mr. Sludge. I don't know if you like the nickname, but you have been in the forefront of this, and this is why the documentary is perfect, The Sludge War.
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
So, yeah, we have good opportunity on August 8th, Saturday, August 8th, at the Campbell Savona High School Auditorium. There's going to be the screening of The Sludge War. It's a documentary, so the director, she's going to be present. She's from California, and I guess and I didn't know this until talking to her, I guess California, I'm surprised to learn this, they land apply all their sludge. They don't put any in landfills. So she, grew up, and she realized her community was built on land that had been sludge spread on for, I guess decades. Wow. So this led her down, this path of studying this, and she's traveled throughout 7 states. I think she spent about 5 years on this documentary. There was a screening of the documentary a couple weeks ago in Wayne County. She originally reached out to me, and I think she was thinking about doing it in Ithaca, and I said, oh no, I think you should come here to Steuben County. You could actually, talk with people who have dealt with this. So the documentary is about 80 minutes, and then there will be a red carpet, so actually, people that have been in the film will be present, and then she'll do a Q&A, and residents, you can share your own experiences as well. So hopefully everyone can make it August 8th at the Campbell Savona High School.
Starts at 4 p.m.
4 p.m.,
You can find out more at thesludgewar.com/New York. And it's, like you said, an 80-minute film. I think the question and answer could be very interesting for people.
I think it could be, yeah. I think
because there's so many questions surrounding this. You haven't seen the movie yet.
I have not. So I don't know. I've talked. I know that some people have reached out to me. We're a little suspicious. We haven't actually talked to her. She's just coming here from California. But I said, I've talked to her about 4 times now, and she's very responsive to questions I've had, and, open to, my suggestions and stuff.
Well, looking at the picture, it doesn't sound like they're going to be pro-sludge.
No, this certainly isn't. No, this is not in favor of it.
Yeah, no, so I don't think people have to be too worried about it. That's funny. Yeah. But it is Campbell Savona High School, August 8th at 4 p.m. That's nice that you got this going. Is it going to be anywhere else around in our area?
Not that I know of at this point. I think this is actually, she's, I guess, stopped in several other states already. So I think we're kind of at the tail end of this showing. So yeah.
All right, so that's coming up, and also you got the big Thurston Freedom 250. I was talking with Mayor Buckley not that long ago, and we're talking about how nice it's been to celebrate America 250. Yeah. The events everywhere. If we could only own stock and fireworks.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But we said how it kicked off with Big Boy. Everybody was following that and how much fun that was. So now I like that Thurston, because for a while it just seemed like everything was on the same day, the same weekend. There's so much to miss. But you have your celebration coming up this Saturday, August 1st. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this past couple of years we've been doing just a community event on the first Saturday in August, and then we kind of got this idea earlier this year. The New York State Association of Towns put out a memo and urged towns to celebrate the 250th anniversary. So we started really kudos to our board member Jen Hargrave, and then the Thurston Christian Church, Dave Peck. From there, they've really worked for several months on getting these events organized, and we have a full day of events planned. We're going to start out, there'll be a parade, and thanks to the Sheriff's Department and the County DPW for helping us get the road shut down in Thurston, the county road, and they'll be lineup. It'll be at 10, just down from the town hall, and then parade's at 10:30. There's going to be after that there'll be an ATV fun ride through our town roads, and then at the town hall we'll have a community picnic at 11. We're going to have a bounce house there. We got the playground. It'll be the county sending the veggie van. We're going to have ice cream truck, some local vendors. I think there's some popcorn and cotton candy will be going on there. And then the church is going to pick up at the Thurston Christian Church just down from the town hall. And at the old schoolhouse there, they're going to have events starting at 2:30. They're going to have live music, various games going on. And then in the evening, the church has sponsored purchased fireworks that will be set off over Thurston Pond. So, yeah, we've got good event lined up, I think, and really looking forward to it.
It sounds great. Explain to me, because there's games for grown-ups, games for kids. What is a wild chicken painting rodeo?
That's something the church, the minister at the church, he's come up with that. I think he's going to bring his chicken and something about, kids can try to paint it while it runs. I'm not 100% sure, but that's one of his ideas. So yeah.
I want to see pictures of that. And then the games for grown-ups, you got the lumberjack competition, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Cornhole tournament. When isn't there a cornhole? Everybody loves
everywhere.
These things. They're they love them. Then there's tug of war, America Antique Display and Contest, America Trivia Contest. So this sounds like probably quite a lot of work to put together with all this.
Oh yeah. Again, that's there's months of planning have gone into this, and I would say I've coordinated from like a higher level. It really kudos to Dave and Jen for the rest of this. Yeah.
So again, that's this Saturday. Starts at 10 a.m. for the Freedom Parade. 11 till 3 is a community picnic. You can bring a dish to pass, right?
Right.
There's going to be hamburgers, hot dogs, ice cream truck, face painting. Oh, this is tough. Best apple pie in America contest.
Oh yeah, that's something else Jen's organized.
Yeah.
So yeah, working.
Wow. People from all over America coming to Thurston with their apple pie.
Well, it seems it was interesting. So we were we've just had it Thurston Orient in the past. It's for the Thurston community, but it's kind of, I think it's going to be branching out. I've gotten some calls from people from Addison. I see the WLEA reported on it yesterday.
Oh, really?
We may have quite a turnout.
You're making the news. That's great. Everybody can come out. It's
Right.
It really is a celebration of America, just in Thurston.
Right, just in Thurston, right.
So last time we talked, how's everything been going at the legislature?
Yeah, I think it's...
you like it?
I do like it. I would say the first month or two I was kind of wondering what did I get myself into here. But I'm really enjoying it, and I must say probably the biggest so far what I've really enjoyed is really working. I enjoy my town meetings. I love going to the the village.
You ever think about getting that looked out and why you're like that?
Right. Yeah. So no, I think there's great things. I've seen great things going on at the town level, village level. And the county certainly do have a lot of good initiatives. I think at the county, the biggest thing that's really shocked me is I'm very impressed, with the investment that the county puts into going after grants, different grant funding. And certainly at the town level, I've seen how beneficial that is. And yesterday at our meeting, I think there was 4 or 5 grants that the county was accepting money for or approving. So very impressed.
Seems like there's always something going on. It's always busy at the legislature.
It is, and it's been good. I think at the legislature, it's helped me as being town supervisor. I understand better what's going on, how the county can help, and I've enjoyed sharing that information with District 9. So.
Well, and it's nice as a supervisor that you can. I'm not just saying you're just crafting it for District 9, but you can actually have the conversation, know what's best for your area. Isn't that what you want from a representative?
Right, exactly. And I think we haven't had that in the past in District 9, so it's nice to have that.
Yeah. And how's everything going at Thurston, the town of Thurston?
Yeah, we seem to be, everything's going along. We're kind of, the sludge stuff has settled down. We've just been, I guess our big thing we have now, we've been doing we had received funding back at the end of 2024 for through CDBG for community development, stick grant for stick-built homes. So that's programs in full force. That's rehab on stick-built homes in Thurston. So that's
so you got a lot going on.
Yeah,
you're a busy man.
Yeah.
Are you going to be at the celebration?
Oh yeah, I'll certainly be there.
And you're going to be at the Sludge
I'll be
Wars?
at the Sludge film. Yeah. So
I can't believe they didn't ask you to be in it.
It's amazing, right?
Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal.
I don't know.
All right, so we've got coming up this Saturday, it's Thurston Freedom 250 celebration. Again, 10 a.m. the parade kicks off. 11 to 3 the community picnic, and over at the Thurston Christian Church. That starts at 2:30 p.m. the Patriot Games, and then the Sludge War documentary tour, the special screening at Camp El Savono High School, August 8th at 4 p.m. Michael, thanks so much for giving us so much time this morning. Let's do it again soon.
Hey, thanks a lot, Frank.
All right, we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Stay with us.
More cars, lower prices. Simmons Rockwell. Whether you're in the market for new, used, or certified pre-owned, Simmons Rockwell locations across the Twin Tiers have more of what you're looking for with our best price right on the windshield. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at a Simmons Rockwell location near you, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
Big day of smooth jazz awaits you at the Ferrario Elmira Jazz Festival. Join us at Thorne Street Park Saturday, August 15th for chart-topping jazz keyboardist Brian Simpson and soprano saxophonist Marion Meadows with local favorite Top Shelf. Celebrate with us. Tickets only $42. It's one big day. Buy tickets at ElmiraJazzFestival.com. Brian, Marion, and Top Shelf. One big day.
It's more than music.
You make everything harder.
You're a pest.
Nobody wants you. Nobody likes you.
You are just full of raising questions and never having an answer.
If I can face MS, I can face anything.
A cure for me would be to go back to where I was.
A cure would stop you dead in your tracks.
And when we get you, it's going to be a great day.
It ends here.
MS ends with us.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. We'll shape up to have a very nice Friday on our hands with highs in the mid-80s and some sunshine ranging from 81 to 85 across the area. Overnight, we'll stay quiet with partly cloudy skies, upper 50s and low 60s. For our Saturday, dry during the day, a high of 86, partly cloudy skies. Then we will see some shower potential Saturday night, Sunday as well.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam. Brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Got so many comments coming in, and I do appreciate that. So let me go through some comments. What exactly is sludge, and why do you need someone from California to talk about it? New York has a ton of regulations already. What is behind this? So sludge is spreading sewage sludge or biosolids. I'm just giving you an AI overview here, but just to give you kind of a quick review. And they put it on farm fields. People are concerned about it because of what could be forever chemicals, those PFAs. So if you look at some of the counties, like Steuben County, they've enacted permit pauses and local bans on it. So it's just a documentary. This is a topic from throughout the country, but I appreciate the question. Comment from Ken. He says, I suppose you're right. The legacy media is full of diehard Democrats, and they all believe that their loyalty will result in their station eventually becoming the one state-sponsored propaganda channel for the nation. You could be right there, Ken. I appreciate that. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Franco. Good morning to you. I've been silent this morning, but when I hear AOC, I want to crawl out of my skin. Seriously, how did we get here? Then again, a former good friend of mine hangs on Politico's every word and has since I first heard her mention it 25 years ago, and she teaches our children. Yeah. This was in reference, if you missed it at the beginning of our interview, or it wasn't during the interview, the segment before the interview. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's potential presidential bid will face a key test next week when a fiercely contested Michigan primary will gauge whether the progressive movement is catching on with Democrat voters in swing states. AOC, who represents parts of Queens and the Bronx, has said she hasn't ruled out a run for president, but her endorsement of Abdul al-Saad, a 41-year-old progressive candidate who would be the country's first Muslim senator, is a political flex that could help make the case that Democrats outside of New York City are ready for ideological change. She's already, and this is Politico, she's already got evidence to back her up. Left-wing candidates dominated congressional primaries in New York and Colorado. Again, I think they don't put enough emphasis on the fact that they were primaries. And I just don't think it plays to the general population. But listen, AOC could very easily win that primary. Now, what does that look for like in a general election? Will the general voter want to support a socialist? I don't know. That's, I think, a fair question. But remember, she says she's not, like a political mercenary, or I can't remember what the term was she used. She's not that far left-wing. She's trying to rewrite her legacy. Okay, we're going to talk about New York State. I've seen some other comments. Sorry, I didn't have a chance to read them before we came back from break, but don't worry, we have another break coming up soon. This will come as no surprise. But according to Alexandra Riviera at the New York Connect team, New York continues to lose more taxpayers than it gains through migration. while the state also remains one of the nation's highest taxed, according to separate reports from the state comptroller and the Citizens Budget Committee. So we're losing taxpayers, and we're also one of the nation's highest tax states. Great. The report points to continued population and taxpayer shifts that could affect New York's finances and workforce, though they do not conclude that taxes alone are driving residents to leave. State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli said personal income taxes account for more than half of New York's tax revenue. In 2024, about 10.9 million tax returns were filed in New York. Of those, 87% were filed by full-year residents, 11 were filed by non-residents who earned income in New York, 2% were filed by part-year residents who moved into or out of the state during the year. And do we want to read all these? Well, among the 256,000 part-year filers, 134,000 moved out of New York, while 121,000 moved into the state, resulting in a net loss of 13,662 taxpayers from New York's tax base. According to DiNapoli, the largest net loss came from married couples with incomes between $100,000 and $500,000. And just think of the policies coming out of Albany. We're driving even more taxpayers away. You've got the decisions by Mayor Mamdani to go and attack the wealthy. The report also found New York posted a net gain of 4,326 single tax filers in 2024. DiNapoli said when personal income taxes drive so much of the state's revenue, even small shifts in the number of tax filers can have an impact over time. I remain very concerned about the net loss of married middle-class filers and urge policymakers to continue their efforts to improve affordability for New York's families. The Citizens Budget Commission reported New York has the nation's highest combined state and local taxes on a per capita basis, averaging $12,495 per resident. Listen to this, about 78% higher than the national average of $7,009. Wow. Look at those numbers. That is high, 78% higher than the national average in taxes. Then you've got, according to Citizens Budget Commission, New York's population remains about 200,000 below its 2019 peak. If you look at the southern tier alone, between 2010 and 2025, we have lost more than 42,000 residents. None of this should come as a surprise from the one-party rule in Albany and the decisions that they're making. I don't think anybody watching this show is shocked at those numbers right now. And then you add the more rules and regulations on our lives. You add the high taxes, the public safety concerns. But let's go through some New York issues because we only have a little over 15 minutes left. A federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit against New York's Medical Aid in Dying Act. This is that assisted suicide that we've talked about on this program extensively. Well, a federal judge has dismissed a lawsuit against the assisted suicide bill, which will legalize medically assisted suicide for terminally ill adults with fewer than 6 months to live, and is set to take effect next week. A group of disability rights advocates filed a lawsuit over the law in June in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York. They claim that the people with life-threatening disabilities belong to a protected class under the 1990 Americans with Disabilities Act and are at risk of harm if the law goes into effect. The group said in the suit that they wanted to stop officials from putting in place a deadly and discriminatory system. This is coming from Luke Parsnow. The Medical Aid in Dying Act will allow mentally competent, terminally ill adults with 6 months or less to live to request life-ending medication. The act is the result of more than 10-year battle by advocates. For years, advocates for the law, including those facing terminal diagnoses, have shared stories to help push the bill over the finish line in the legislature. The measure has faced strong opposition from groups, especially people with disabilities, who argue the law does not do enough to protect them from being pressured into the procedure. The law faces a second lawsuit from 4 orders of Catholic nuns and several Catholic healthcare ministries. They argue that the law infringes on their religious freedoms by forcing them to participate in care that goes against their religious beliefs. So this is set to take effect any day now, and we'll keep a close eye on those lawsuits. And by the way, we talked about public safety. Another major reason, well, number one, why Lee Zeldin did so well against Hochul the last time, but also why so many people are leaving in droves. They do not feel safe. Listen to this. A man a New Jersey man, was sentenced Wednesday to 6 months and a week behind bars. So 6 months and a week behind bars for ramming his car into a Jewish Institute world headquarters in New York. Dan Sohail, 36, was sentenced in Brooklyn federal court by a judge who declined a recommendation by prosecutors that he force Sohail to remain behind bars for another 8 months. The sentence clears the way for the New Jersey man, who has already spent 6 months in detention, to be released in about a week. So this anti-Semitic attack, another attack on the Jewish population in New York, and the judge only gives him 6 month sentence, which he'd already served, so essentially out next week. Wow. Public safety. And what does Governor Hochul do? Well, Governor Kathy Hochul announced a series of gun safety measures. This coming from Eric Brosnan. I believe this is from Spectrum. Gun safety measures should be a red flag when you hear that term. I would say gun control measures aimed at countering Trump administration's rollbacks of federal firearms regulations. Excuse me. Early this year, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives said it rolled back more than 30 federal firearms regulations. Hochul said New York will respond by increasing enforcement and education while also pursuing legislative changes. One party rule, they'll get what they want. A part of the immediate action, the New York State Police will prioritize inspections of firearms dealers linked to guns used in crimes. The state will also expand its interstate task force on illegal guns and launch an education campaign reminding gun dealers that New York's firearms laws remain in effect despite changes at the federal level. Hochul also said she will pursue legislation when lawmakers return to Albany in January that would require all firearms sales in New York to be conducted in person. The proposal comes after federal regulators move to allow online firearms sales. The governor also plans to introduce legislation to tighten the state's background check requirements for firearm purchases by aligning them with the stricter rules already in place for ammunition sales. Under the proposal, this again coming from Spectrum, firearms dealers would have to receive an affirmative approval before completing a sale rather than being allowed to proceed if no determination is made within the review period. The ATF said rescinding several Biden-era regulations would reduce unnecessary burden on law-abiding gun owners and firearms dealers. Hochul criticized the proposed changes, saying they make it easier for dangerous individuals to obtain firearms. Enough on that. Since taking office, Hochul has partnered with 11 other states to intercept weapons along the I-95 corridor, strengthen New York's red flag law to keep guns away from people deemed a risk to themselves or others, and tighten the state's concealed carry laws, according to her office. All right, on that note, we got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Don't forget to visit our Facebook page at Big Fox News. Watch news from the Twin Tiers and catch local events on Facebook.com/Big Fox News.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
Live a carefree, engaging lifestyle at Apple Ridge Senior Living, where exceptional is the standard. It's time to redefine your future. Pursue your passions and make meaningful connections. Enjoy an inclusive and customizable senior living experience. Everything you could want, more than you expect. Visit appleridgeseniorliving.com and schedule your tour today.
Tide isn't just a gentle ebb and flow. It's a mighty force of change. Just like the tide shapes our shorelines, we can shape our planet's future and protect the world's oceans from its biggest threats. Help us turn the tide. Join Oceania's wave of ocean advocates who are making a difference in the world.
Watch Big Fox News on YouTube.
Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. A viewer asks, have you heard about Hochul passing that you can't have outside lights? What does that mean? I don't know that. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but if you give me some more information. Rick writes in and says, good morning, Frank. Let's see. I got to get caught up at 7:30. Went up to the Waterloo outlets today, or 7:30 p.m. when he sent this, yesterday. Went up to the Waterloo outlets today. That place is only half occupied now. Vendors are moving out of there quicker than Romo out of the announcer's booth. Well, I'll continue with what Rick had to say. But I also see in that general area, correct, is where Del Lago Resort and Casino is located. Well, according to WROC, Churchill Downs Incorporated is exploring a possible sale of Del Lago Resort and Casino as part of a broader review of its gaming properties. In a filing Wednesday with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, the company said it completed a comprehensive review of its operations and long-term capital allocations. Churchill Downs is now considering options to sell 9 wholly owned regional gaming properties, including Del Lago in Seneca County. The company stressed that the review does not guarantee Del Lago will be sold or that any potential deals will be completed. So continuing with what Rick had to say. I've been watching the news for almost half an hour. No news on anything stupid Trump has done today. I'll keep watching. He always has his daily stupid moments. Kennedy is hosting a food show now. Really? Whip up some roadkill? Yeah, we know Kennedy's definitely got some weird background things. Blanche is shielding Trump on IRS deal. Trump said he would pull Blanche's name for now until Cornyn and Tillis are gone. Given that admission, which is what it is, why would anyone at all vote for Blanche or anything else for a Trump AG? All Trump is trying to do is dodge crimes he and his kids have committed, hiding income to avoid taxes, crooks. And by the way, why would the IRS agree to such a criminal deal with Trump? So much weakness out there. Lots I'd like to say, but only so much you're allowed to broadcast. Let's close here. So much fraud, so little justice. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend, Rick. New York Republicans are raising election security concerns. We talked about this last week. I know Phil Palmisano's been ahead of the game on this. With those software issues in New Jersey, to say the least, I don't believe it was the software. The software company says that they have no way of actually enrolling someone in the vote. But the letter that the Republicans sent to Hochul said these revelations coming from New Jersey are deeply troubling and raise legitimate concerns for New York. And remember, we do use the same software program. Now, where is it here? Assembly Republicans in New York want the convening of a joint oversight hearing to examine the integrity, security, and fiscal oversight of New York State's voter registration system. According to the letter, IDEMIA currently holds 44 contracts with state agencies totaling around $579.5 million, with DMV-specific contracts totaling around $24.5 million of that amount. Quote, while there is no evidence at this time that New York has experienced a similar failure, the shared vendor relationship, together with the substantive public investment in this technology, warrants prompt legislative oversight to determine whether comparable vulnerabilities exist within New York's voter registration process and whether sufficient safeguards are in place to prevent similar errors. And Senate Republicans are using New Jersey's uncovered voter registration error, I like how they report it as an error, to continue their push for election security reforms in New York. We got to take our last break. Get your last second comments in. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
I'm meteorologist Brandon weathers will shape up to have a very nice Friday on our hands with highs in the mid-80s and some sunshine ranging from 81 to 85 across the area. Overnight, we'll stay quiet with partly cloudy skies, upper 50s and low 60s. For our Saturday, dry during the day, a high of 86, partly cloudy skies. Then we will see some shower potential Saturday night, Sunday as well. And
the Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. You know, Frank, hypocrisy abounds in the Democrat Party. On one hand, they don't want you to even have a gun. On the other hand, they want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Fair enough. Mark writes in, boy, Hochul sure does like legal gun owners, but she upholds criminals, totally ridiculously vote. Oh, okay, I'm sure that meant does not like legal gun owners, but she upholds criminals. Totally ridiculous. Vote red. Vote Bruce Blakeman. Have a great weekend. Thank you. You too, Mark. You have a great weekend as well. Quickly, because we are out of time, I know we didn't have a lot of time to talk about Mamdani. There's all this confusion about his second home tax. Well, yesterday, Bruce Blakeman running against Governor Hochul. Remember, Governor Hochul endorsed Zohran Mamdani really early on. Well, Bruce Blakeman, he's the Republican running against Governor Hochul, released a statement yesterday. Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani's new tax publicly targets. Their new tax publicly targets homeowners, puts them at risk of crime, assumes they're guilty, and forces them to prove that they don't owe the government more money. That's oppressive and un-American. New York is already the highest tax state in the nation. The reckless tax will drive even more families, jobs, and investments out of our state, and middle-class New Yorkers will pay the price. I will move to eliminate it on day one when I'm elected governor. So that is Bruce Blakeman vowing to eliminate that tax day one if elected. New York City is being forced to hire 24 people just to start the rollout. This has been such a mess of that tax. Mamdani says this is only the beginning while announcing cracking down on food delivery tips, which is sparking outrage. He's facing fresh criticism after taking credit for a reported $104 million increase in delivery worker tips that critics say was made possible by legislation enacted before he took office and will likely only exacerbate cost of living issues in the city. All right, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. I want to thank our guest, Michael Volino, for being on the program this morning. We do appreciate that. Thurston's looks like they're going to have a lot of fun this weekend. I hope you can make it out. Also, I want to remind you that on Monday, we're going to be talking with that's who I just talked to today, Mark Watts, about the Chemung County Fair, so you won't want to miss that. On Tuesday, it's Joe Sempolinski, former congressman, current assemblyman, and current chair of the Steuben County GOP. So make sure you get your questions in. If you're thinking over the weekend, get them in. And then on Wednesday, Griffin Bates will be joining us. He's the Steuben County historian, and he's going to tell us about that Steuben 250 celebration coming up in September. So we got a busy week. Next week, also, if you missed any of our guests from this week, they will be up. They're already, Sheriff Allard and Mayor Buckley are already up on our YouTube page on WYDCTV.com, and we'll have Michael Volino on later today. We always try to keep those updated as quickly as possible. Well, have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, and make sure you join us every weekday morning starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC-TV Big Fox. We will see you bright and early on Monday. I look forward to it already.